What did I just see? This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store. Get the merch link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live and make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Comment on this video. Share this video. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an old story. I saw it a few days ago, maybe even more than a few, where there's a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old who got into a shootout with the police. Now, the first thing that I thought was that it was a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old who may have gotten a hold of guns and they were just blindly shooting them out of the house or shooting them in the air. And the police interpretation of it was that they were getting shot at. However, I was wrong. I listened to the video. I watched the little bit of coverage that was made available. The body-worn camera isn't fully made available. At least I haven't seen it anywhere. But some of the stuff that was reported on the news, they were actually shooting at the cops, like a standoff for 30 minutes. So I'm gonna let you watch what the news had to say about it. Then we're gonna talk about it because this was out of control. This was out of control. This was out of control.
Volusia County Sheriff says in 34 years of policing, he has never seen anything like this. In an edited 9-minute clip, we see deputies trying to calm down those 12 and 14-year-old kids before they fire at deputies with an AK-47 and a shotgun. We'd like to
12 and 14. The girl seemed to be the dominant factor here, which was the 14-year-old. But there was a 12-year-old boy involved in this too. AK-47, shotguns. Just finished.
To warn you, these images are disturbing.
Shots fired. Everybody get hard cover.
This jaw-dropping scene starts with Florida deputies taking cover behind a tree.
It's either a shotgun or a long gun. Female has it in her hand. Juvenile male looks like he has something in his hand as well.
12-year-old and a 14-year-old. I just want you to know that.
And it quickly escalated.
Put the gun down now!
She's pointing the gun. Pointing the gun behind the trash can.
The stunning 90-minute sequence released as an edited 9-minute video by the Volusia County Sheriff's Department.
Where have we gone wrong that 12-year-old and 14-year-old think it's okay to take on law enforcement?
Now, let me give you a little backstory. I'm going to skip to the part where you see them actually shoot the young girl. She lived, thank God. But they did an incredible job, which I thought was very reasonable, until they couldn't do anything different, right? They were hiding behind hard cover, which is trees, you know, the engine block of vehicles, whatever you can get that can evade or at least prevent rounds penetrating that can really hurt you. Cover and concealment is two different things. Concealment is just you just hiding somewhere they can't see you. Cover is a hard cover that blocks ballistic, to have some ballistic protection for you. So anyway, they were behind cover, and they were giving announcements. They were slow rolling until they had no choice. And the crazy thing is that these kids were in a group home, and somehow they escaped the group home, which when I was a cop, there was two group homes. There was a secure group home and an open group home. And I'm using my own terminology here. The secure group home, meaning that the kids were locked in, there was security, there were gates, the kids could not get out. It was like a jail. It was a facility where kids could not get out. And then there was the open group home, which I do not understand for the life of me, how there was such thing as an open format group home, which means that there was no security and that kids can just leave anytime they want to. And I tell you, every night, these kids will leave the facility because they couldn't put their hands on you. They leave the facility, they go do drugs, they go party, they go get drunk, they go and they were being trafficked. They go and get trafficked, and then they come back the next morning. And they made a report every time they left, and we used to have to show up and do a police report every time. The same kids will leave every day, all day, no supervision, going out and getting hurt, drunk, pregnant, all kinds of stuff. How in our society do we think that make any sense to cushion these kids and let them just run wild? Anyway, this is the situation that must have happened here. They escaped. They broke into somebody's house whom had weapons in the house, and then they begin to pursue a standoff with police. The young girl had mentioned that it reminded her of Grand Theft Auto, which is incredibly troubling. And notice that I haven't said a race. And you'll find out why I haven't said a race, and you'll find out why you probably won't see this on any mainstream news. They got AK-47s and all of the above, and they ended up having to take shots at this young girl because she challenged them when she came out of the house. And so this is them in the surveillance video. You know how that ends, right? I think she got hit like 8 times and lived, which is incredible. But she's white, and the boy is white. And that's why it did make the news, and that's why them having a fire, I don't know, 20-some times at a 14-year-old is not going to make the news. Because, you know, according to the news, only black people get treated this kind of way. And if it was a white person, they take them out alive, and they make sure they get cheeseburgers, and they never do anything wrong to white people. But this is a white 14-year-old. I have never seen a black 14-year-old in this situation ever in my life. No video footage ever that I've seen where you have officers doing this right here to a 14-year-old black kid. And if they did, which I think it was justified that they had to at some point, the girl had an AK-47. If they did, these officers will be fired. This will be all over national TV. They would have said they could have just waited out. They could have tased her. They left the scene. They could have called her grandma, but they didn't call her grandma. One of the sergeants threw a phone in there to communicate with the kids, and they didn't want to do it. But if this was the roles were reversed, we all know how it would have turned out, regardless of that. I think the officers did an incredible job. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen, because a 14 or 12-year-old shouldn't even be capable of doing these things. And then another shocker in this whole thing is that the AK-47 was disassembled. So one of these kids, or both of them, were smart enough and capable enough to reassemble an AK-47 and fire it. So either they came from a family, or they've been watching playing way too many video games. Get these kids off of these video games. Get these kids off these video. Make them work. Make them read a book. Make them think about who they aspire to be. We can't have stuff like this in our society. But shout out to the police department in Florida for taking every measurable thing that they could do to prevent from harming these kids. They had to do it at the very end. She lived. The 12-year-old surrendered. He lived. And hopefully they'll be in a secure group home, because if they're not, the system has failed them once again. But the moral of the story is that these group homes need to be improved. They can't be letting kids run away, because when they run away, they're capable of doing what they did. Shout out to the police officers for doing what they had to do, and thank God that the kid didn't lose her life, and that the young boy didn't lose his life. But this is crazy, and I'm glad that the scenario happened like this, and instead of the race being reversed, because we wouldn't hear the end of it. Anyway, I love you guys. Comment in the comment section. Is B. Tatum tripping? Am I on or something? Comment, what do you think about what happened? Do you think that I'm right about if the roles were reversed, or is B. Tatum smoking crack in the back in a Cadillac with this dude named Jack? I don't know. You tell me. I love you guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. Visit the Officer Tatum store. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.